Thank you, Dr. Maswell. I'm Zoila Vega with the Austin Heritage Tree Foundation. I'd like to speak first about the trees. I'm not an arborist, but I've been leading the foundation for 3 years looking at trees in sites. So with all due respect to the city arborist, Keith Mars, our environmental reviewer, it's very hard to evaluate trees when you walk in a 12-acre land and you don't have a guide. So I disagree with the amount of ash junipers that he estimated. He said 80%. I think it's a little bit less than that, maybe 60, 65, not that much ash juniper. Keith also mentioned that there were at least 5, at most 5 protected trees and 5 heritage trees. I saw much more than that, at least 10 of the heritage trees and at least 10 of the protected trees. He talked about invasives. Actually, in this site, I didn't see that many invasives. It was surprising. There were some ligustrum, but not like other sites. So I really like the land. I think it's in a, not pristine, but very close to a pristine location. So the species post oaks are very rare in Austin, and this place had many post oaks that were of a good size. The reference to many trees that were dead, there were not that many, but there were some trees that were dead, and it's obviously because of drought, because the soils are very shallow. Everywhere you look, you can see the rocks, porous rock on the ground, because it's over the aquifer. Now, besides the issues with trees, what really caught my attention was all the environmental features in the land, how beautiful the land is, and how much it deserves to be preserved. The environmental features, you can see there's depressions. To me, they look like sinkholes. It's a matter of excavating. We had an expert, Dr. Howard, saying that there's a high likelihood that there's caves underneath. I talked to Dr. Howard myself. When I started talking to Dr. Howard, from then I talked to Ed Peacock from Watershed, asking him how difficult will it be to excavate these caves. He said, not a big deal. I can send a couple of city staff members, maybe just one. It will take a couple of days. It's not a big deal. What happens is it's part of the process. Well, the process is all upside down. We see the same thing with trees. Tree surveys are not done until the zoning is done. When the zoning is changed, that seals the fate of the trees because of the density on the land. It's very hard for the environmental reviewer to save any more trees other than the protected with alter protection from the Heritage Tree Ordinance once there's a high density zoning change for the land. The same applies for this. This is the environmental board. You're supposed to be looking at the environmental protection of the land for the benefit of the community. This is a land that deserves to be preserved. So if that's what needs to be changed and you need to investigate more to really make sure that there's a cave, then that's what needs to happen. What I heard from the last gentleman and for the one before was we're trying to delay the issue, we're using this as a tool. I hear that all the time when we talk about protecting trees. You're using the trees to slow down. No, we're using the trees to preserve them. What I see with these people was a community that was very involved and very caring for the environment. After talking to Ed Peacock, I talked to Chas Lexniak, and his entire attitude was the same as reflected in the letter that he wrote, that the neighborhood is used to having a park nearby, that they've been using a park for free, that they have all these other green belts around, and that's what I see is a community of neighbors that really cares for the environment and have done beyond what most people will do to try to save it. So, the potential of the land. I imagine this land like a research place, same as the neighbors do, where they already have the money and the commitment for the Natives Prairie Association. If you combine that with research for caves, it can be a wonderful educational place, which falls within the purview or the mission of AISD. It can be a place where children can go and learn, while at the same time we're protecting the environment for all of the community. I heard that zoning has nothing to do with, it's about the land, it's not about the environment. However, when the Planning Commission gets their backup to determine the zoning, Watershed makes a recommendation about the environmental features. It's just that they don't really evaluate them at this point, and yet they're making a recommendation. The same thing happens with trees. When the Planning Commission gets their backup for zoning, they get a line on trees. Usually says no trees are affected, And then there's 5 or 6 heritage trees there because the survey is not done until later. But once the zoning is changed, the fate of those trees is sealed. So the community effort, all these neighbors that have worked so hard for so many years, to say that this doesn't represent the rest of that neighborhood, they have a petition with the minimum number required or even more. Who are these neighbors that are not protecting this when those people that live within a certain amount, a certain distance from the land have signed the petition? What are we talking about here? So I ask you to please consider this and consider changing the system because all of this is upside down. Please remember the mission of the Environmental Board, which is to protect pieces of land like this. Thank you.